Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of All Things Considered, a place where we will state our opinion, no matter how absurd it may be. And just remember that opinions are like assholes. We all have one. They're very important, but some are full of a lot more shit than others. So, today's topic, one that was in the news, it's been a little bit now, quite some time, but one that has kind of bothered me, and that is the Laurel Hubbard situation. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Olympics is allowing a trans woman, which I think I have that right, used to be or is a biological man, to compete in the women's powerlifting events in Tokyo this year in the Olympics. Now, as far as my knowledge is, I believe he is the first one to compete in the Olympics. But they're by no means the first trans woman athlete to compete against women and absolutely dominate the respective sport that they're competing in. So, This bothers me, and I know a lot of people have talked about this, but I read an article yesterday regarding two biological women that run track. One, I think, is an 800-meter runner. One's a miler or a 1,500-meter runner. And they are both at the top of their sports, and they're both banned by the Olympics. And they're banned from competing in their respective events and track because they naturally produce too much testosterone than the Olympics will allow a woman to produce or to have. And I believe that level is 5 nanomoles of testosterone. Now, these women, that participated in this study, from what I've read or what I've, seen, their production is 100% natural. They don't take anything to boost that. They were, in a sense of athletics, won the genetic lottery, and they naturally produce a hormone that makes them better than everyone else. But the Olympics came to them and said, you have two choices, or 3 choices. Either you're not going to compete in your events that you practice and train in every day of your life to be the best at, or you can run another event, which I don't understand this one, but either you can run another event. I believe they had to go down in distance, which would mean they would have to be faster, or you can take a supplement that will reduce the amount of testosterone in your body. That way it will bring you below the 5 nanomole level and well within the range, of what's legal for women's sports in the Olympics. I think that these 2 women said they weren't going to take a supplement, and I don't know what their verdict is on the other decisions, but how freaking contradicting is that of the Olympics? This is an organization that has these athletes tested year-round randomly and is all against athletes taking a supplement or doing something that alters your natural ability other than, lifting weights and stuff. So they don't want you to take anything that will enhance performance. And in Sha'Carri Richardson's situation, something you could argue would diminish performance. But they told these women that they have to take something if they want to compete, while at the same time allowing a biological man who has produced far more testosterone than these 2 women have his entire life and competed with men and gained a physical advantage with 30 years of, or over 30 years of development they're saying that, well, you're allowed to compete because, you take something that is diminishing your athletic performance and bringing your hormones within the legal limits of what we allow for women. But in my argument is that this guy has had a lifetime of PEDs. The 30 years of testosterone production has given him a huge advantage. And, they're going to allow that. And this Laura Hubbard is dominating powerlifting. He's kept biological women from being able to compete. I believe there was a New Zealand powerlifter that was at the top of the sport that didn't even qualify for the Olympics because she had lost to Laura Hubbard. And Laura Hubbard, I think, is by far the favorite to win the gold medal in her events at 43 years old. 43 years old. So I'm 28, and yeah, I don't lift as much now, and you could say, well, that's because you don't lift. Yeah, but I'm not in as good a shape. I am running-wise, but because I run a lot, but not lifting-wise is what I was when I was playing football. It would be hard for me to even have the same motivation to lift as much as I did back then. But, it's just 43 years old and being the gold medal favorite in a strength sport, like, that's just not right. That's, it's just not going to happen. And, what you don't see is you don't see women transitioning to be men and trying to compete with men. No, they either stay competing with women or they don't compete at all. Why? Because you can't bring someone up, you can't bring a woman up to the levels of a man and have them compete. They will not be competitive. But there is a huge competitive advantage for a man going to be a woman and competing against women. And my other problem with this is, so not only are these women, getting hammered on their natural body, production, but and they're allowing this guy who's not natural to compete. My other problem is this: where does it stop? Where does this go from here? Well, I think there's a few trans women that are competing in college sports, but not that I know of at a Division I level. Well, what's the next thing? A Division I college? Well, if that happens, you might as well take Title IX, rip it in half, wipe your ass with it, and throw it down the toilet and flush it. Because you will, if you start allowing trans women to be a part of women's athletics on a mass scale, you will not see women be able to compete at all, especially in the higher levels of their sports. Because in college especially, that coach's job is to win and bring in money. Now, women's sports aren't revenue-generating sports. Football is really the only revenue. That and men's basketball are the only revenue-generating sports in college. But the coach's job is still to win. In Division I football, for sure, but I would imagine any level of college, or not football, sorry, Division I sports, or any level of college sports, if you're a coach and you lose, you get fired. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you have a 2-3 year losing streak, you're fired. You're done. And so, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to compete. Recruit. You're going to recruit the best players that you're allowed to play. That's why, a lot of women's sports and a few men's sports, they'll go out of the country and recruit foreign athletes, right? Well, they'll go get Kenyans to run track. They'll go get, soccer players from overseas. They'll go get tennis players from overseas, right? Whoever is going to give that school the best chance to win. And what would be a better chance to win than to have a team full of transgender women that were biological males that made a transition and are absolutely dominating women in basketball or softball or whatever, or soccer, right? So you're going to see these colleges just go and recruit trans athletes because they have a huge advantage, and women are not going to be able to compete. It's going to completely undermine women's sports, and that's sad because these women have worked so hard. Title IX was given to equalize, athletics, college athletics, and other stuff, not even just college athletics, but, it provides a lot of opportunity for women, especially in the athletic environment. So, I don't see how any true feminist can be okay with the Laurel Hubbard decision, because we're going down a very dangerous path, and it's sad to see. It is going to be a very dangerous road to go down. And, I don't want to speak on the transgender deal. I don't know anything about that. I, have never experienced it. But what I will say, in my opinion, Laurel Hubbard knew the consequences of making the transition. I do not fault Laurel Hubbard for wanting to change the gender and even taking that leap. That's something I don't know anything about. I never experienced it. But what I will say, and this is to anyone, not just them, don't make a life-altering decision and expect people to cater to you. Don't expect the world to change for you because you made a decision, okay? Don't expect to be a man competing, especially in like the highest level of men's powerlifting like she was, okay, to then transition to being a woman and expect, them to allow you to compete with women. I can't stand when people, think that or expect that. I was born with Tourette's. I make noises and make, I make weird movements and tics and stuff like that. And, growing up, I got in a lot of fights and got made fun of for it. But I never once ever expected anyone to cater to me because of something to do with those threats. And yeah, you can say, well, Michael, that's not even the same kind of example. That's not even close to what that person's dealing with. Okay, I don't care, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't expect people to cater to you. All right? People are born with a lot worse off things. And when it comes to sports, all right, not everyone is created equal. And that's the great thing about sports, especially in the professional and Olympic levels, okay? Let's be honest. It's a lot of hard work and a medium amount of luck, I would say. Because you have to be born genetically gifted enough that the hard work, you can capitalize from all the hard work that you're going to put in to get to where you are, to get to that highest level, okay? Not everyone can run a sub-10 100 meters. Not everyone can lift 400 pounds over their head. Not everyone can swim however fast in the 50 meters in the swimming pool, okay? It takes a lot of devotion, a lot of hard work, and a lot of luck at the same time, and so if everyone was going to be equal in sports, then everyone would be playing them at the highest level. So, where does equality come in sports? Well, here's where equality comes in sports. It only goes as far as being able to show your talent. All right? That means, if a team is having tryouts, then I want the same opportunity to display my abilities at that tryout as everyone else. That's all you can ask for when it comes to sports. And unfortunately, especially in youth sports, you have that daddy ball bullshit and political bullshit. I'm playing my son, I'll play this kid because, dad's got money or whatever. Unfortunately, we have that, and I can't stand it. And, but the higher up you go, the less of that you see, because it becomes more of a business and the best people play. And so the only thing you can ask for is a fair shot, a fair chance to display your ability. And that doesn't mean a fair chance or, I should get the same amount of reps as this guy in a game, like with football, I play running back. I should get, if the starter gets 10 plays, I should get 10 plays to show that I can do the same thing he does. No, it is, I just want a chance, in practice or in some form to show you that I have the ability to do this and give me a chance. But it does not come equal. And sports do not come equal. Okay? Equality only goes as far as the opportunity to display what you can do. And sometimes it doesn't even go that far. Sometimes you have to make the chance yourself or make the opportunity yourself. But one thing great about track and field and certain sports like that is that there is no arbitrage. You win or you lose, and everyone sees you doing it. And the only factors that go into it is nothing else but you. And so if you're good enough in the Olympics to compete, right? If you're, let's say, take 100-meter runners for example, right? When you're racing in the 100 meters, you have your lane and the people next to you. You're the only one running your race. There's no other factors that come into play, okay, other than you running your race and how fast those other guys are running the race. But, equality in sports, there are certain limitations on it, okay? So, allowing the Laurel Hubbard deal and, at the same time banning these other two women is just complete nonsense and so contradicting by the Olympics. And I hate to see it, and I hate to say this, but I almost hope that Laurel Hubbard goes out and just destroys the women competition and her event, because maybe then the Olympics will sit back and say, maybe this just wasn't a very good idea. And I think that's the only way that this is going to get worked out. Again, if you have any comments, questions, or even insults, put them in the comment section below, and make sure you subscribe. Thank you.